The mysterious signal, the emergence of an empire. The vastness of space was silent, but the universe was never truly empty. Among the cold, endless darkness, something ancient waited, something forgotten. And on this day, humanity would find it. It started with a signal. Deep Space Probe Pathfinder 7 was drifting along the edges of the Epsilon sector, scanning distant star systems for habitable worlds. It was a routine mission, nothing special. The probe had been traveling for years, sending back data to Earth's United Earth Space Fleet, UESF. Then, the impossible happened. A strange signal echoed through the void. It wasn't natural. It wasn't random. It was structured. The signal carried a repeating pattern, a pulsing rhythm that no known celestial body could produce. The probe's eye struggled to decode it, but the signal was ancient, too old, too complex. Before it could analyze further, something strange occurred. The signal grew stronger, as if it had noticed the probe, as if something was awake. The Starfire investigates. 2 weeks later, the UESF Starfire, a mid-sized research vessel, was sent to investigate. It was not a warship, just a science cruiser with a crew of 40 scientists, engineers, and explorers. As they entered the system, the crew felt uneasy. Captain Jonas Reed, a veteran of deep space missions, watched the data stream on his monitor. The ship's AI, HFY, was struggling to make sense of the readings. Captain, the ship's science officer, Dr. Elise Carter, called from her station. "We're detecting an object, but the readings don't make sense." "What kind of object?" Reed asked. Dr. Carter hesitated. "It's massive. Too big to be a normal ship." On the main screen, the Starfire's long-range sensors displayed a shadow in space, a colossal structure hidden in the system's asteroid field. At first, they thought it was a rogue planet, a dead world drifting without a star. But as they moved closer, details emerged. It was not a planet. It was a ship, a titan among the stars. The crew stood in stunned silence as the true scale of the object became clear. It was a starship the size of a small moon, its metallic surface covered in scars of ancient battles. It had towers rising from its surface, and its structure was too advanced, too alien. "This thing," Dr. Carter whispered. "It's thousands, no, maybe millions of years old." But something was wrong. There was no sign of life, no power readings, nothing to suggest it was active. It was just floating, like a tomb drifting through space. Captain Reed ordered the launch of exploration drones. As the small machines approached the ship, their scanners picked up strange energy fluctuations inside. Suddenly, the ship's dark surface shimmered. Then, the signal returned, stronger than before. A forgotten empire awakens. A deep, rumbling sound echoed through space, not through the air, but through the ship's communication systems. It was not a language, but it felt like a voice. The crew stared at the screen in horror as words appeared, translated by the Starfire's eye. "The last guardians have awakened." Captain Reed's blood ran cold. "HFY, confirm. What is that?" he demanded. The ship's AI hesitated before responding. "Unknown. The signal originates from the massive structure. It appears intentional." A cold silence fell over the bridge. They weren't alone. This was not just an ancient wreck. This was a relic of something greater, something waiting, something that had just noticed humanity's presence. Entering the Titan, trapped inside the unknown. The Starfire floated in the darkness, its crew frozen in shock. The message had been clear. Something was awake inside the massive ship. Captain Reed clenched his fists. "We need answers. Prep a landing team." Dr. Carter hesitated. "Captain, this thing isn't just a ship. It's a fortress. What if we're walking into a trap?" Reed exhaled. She was right, but they couldn't turn back now. This was the discovery of the century. If they left, someone else would claim it. "Then we proceed with caution," Reed said. Within minutes, a team of 5 was assembled. Dr. Carter, Lieutenant Hayes, a security officer, Chief Engineer Patel, and 2 exploration specialists. They boarded the small shuttle Venture 1 and began their approach. The colossal ship loomed ahead. Its dark surface had no visible markings, no insignia, no signs of its builders. But as the shuttle neared, something unexpected happened. A massive hangar door, large enough to fit entire fleets, slowly slid open. "It's inviting us in," Hayes muttered. "Or leading us into a grave," Paddle replied. With no other choice, Reed gave the order. "Take us in." Inside the giant's tomb, the Venture 1 entered the dark hangar, its floodlights barely piercing the blackness. The walls were lined with hundreds of empty docking stations, each big enough to hold battleships. As they landed, the hangar doors sealed shut behind them. "We just lost contact with the Starfire," Hayes reported. "We're cut off." Reed took a deep breath. "All right, everyone stay sharp." They stepped out onto the metal floor. It was smooth, seamless, like it had been crafted from a single piece of metal. The air was thin but breathable. The ship's atmosphere systems were still working, another sign that it was not abandoned. The silence was unnerving. No flickering lights, no background hum of machinery, just a vast emptiness. Then suddenly, the walls came to life. Soft blue lights pulsed along the corridors, stretching into the unknown. A deep mechanical hum vibrated through the air, as if the ship itself was breathing. Then came the voice. "Inheritors. Identified." The crew froze. Dr. Carter's pulse raced. Did it just call us inheritors? The blue lights intensified, and a holographic display materialized before them. It showed 2 figures. One, a towering armored being with glowing eyes. The other, a massive fleet of warships, engulfed in fire. Then came the next words. "The war was lost. The Titans have fallen, but the legacy remains." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. "We need to figure out what happened here," Reed said. "And fast." As they moved deeper inside, they had no idea that something was watching them. And it had just activated. The forgotten builders. The truth of the Titans. The air inside the ancient ship felt heavier, as if the weight of history itself pressed down on the crew. The blue lights along the corridor pulsed with a slow rhythmic beat, like a slumbering giant taking its first breaths after eons of sleep. Captain Reed led the team forward, weapons raised, but nothing attacked them. No enemies, no bodies, just silence. Dr. Carter ran her fingers across the smooth metallic walls, feeling a strange warmth beneath her touch. This material, it's self-repairing. Even after millions of years, this ship is still alive. The holographic display flickered again. A new set of symbols flashed, then slowly translated into human-readable text. Titan-class dreadnought, last of the Warborn. Commanding officers, deceased, awaiting new leadership. A Titan-class dreadnought, a ship designed for war on a scale humanity had never imagined. Lieutenant Hayes muttered under his breath, "This thing isn't just a ship, it's a weapon." The war that erased a civilization. The holographic figures returned, the same armored beings they had seen before. But now, the images moved, showing a recorded history of the Titans. They saw an empire that once ruled the stars, beings towering over humans, covered in intricate armor, standing as giants among lesser races. And then they saw their end. A new enemy emerged, faceless, black creatures, swarming through the stars like living shadows. They consumed entire worlds, tearing through the Titans' greatest defenses as if they were nothing. The images flashed rapidly, planetary shields shattering, starships the size of moons being ripped apart, and Titan warriors falling by the millions. Then the final image appeared, the last of the Titan ships, this very dreadnought, escaping into the void, sealing itself away. Final orders: hide, Survive. Await the inheritors. The crew stood in stunned silence. Dr. Carter whispered, "They lost. Their entire race. Wiped out." Captain Reed exhaled. "And now this ship is looking for new owners. An offer of power." The walls pulsed, and a new message appeared. Authorization required. Command seat vacant. The crew exchanged glances. The ship wasn't just waking up, it was offering itself to them. Reed hesitated. "If we take control of this thing, the entire galaxy will know." Hayes nodded. "And they'll either fear us or try to take it from us." Dr. Carter looked back at the holographic Titan warriors. Maybe that's why it waited. It didn't want to fall into the wrong hands. Patil, the chief engineer, spoke up. "Captain, if this ship fully activates, I don't think anyone can stop us." Reed's mind raced. This was no ordinary discovery. This was a throne, a kingdom, a declaration of war. And the galaxy had no idea what was coming. Then, before Reed could decide, the ship made the decision for them. The corridors lit up with violent red warning symbols. Something was coming, and it wasn't human. The galactic panic. A threat awakens. The Starfire's crew barely had time to process the revelation before the ship's lights flashed red. A deep mechanical alarm echoed through the vast corridors. "Warning. Incoming hostile SIGNAHURDSDT. Captain Reed's pulse quickened. Hostiles. From where? Lieutenant Hayes checked his scanner. His face went pale. "Captain, they're not coming from outside. They're already here. Ghosts in the machine." Suddenly, the floor beneath them trembled, as if the ship itself was groaning to life. The ancient metal walls shifted, revealing hidden compartments. From within, dark figures emerged. They weren't Titan warriors. They were something else. Sleek, humanoid machines, black, skeletal, and armed, began stepping out, their red eyes burning with ancient programming. They moved with eerie precision, like assassins that had been sleeping for 1,000 years. Security protocol engage. Foreign entities detected. Initiating termination. Dr. Carter gasped. "The ship thinks we're intruders." Hayes raised his rifle. "We need to move. Now." A desperate escape. The security droids rushed forward. Silent. Deadly. Fast. Their arms morphed into weapons, firing bright blue energy blasts. Hayes dove behind a metal pillar, returning fire. These things aren't just guards. They're built for war. Patil hacked into his datapad, trying to override the ship's eye. "Give me a second. I can shut them down." "We don't VACK." Hayes yelled as one of the droids lunged at him. He barely dodged, blasting its head clean off, but two more took its place. Carter ducked behind a control panel. "Reed, if we don't stop this, the ship will kill us before we even get a chance to use it." Reed made a decision. They couldn't fight an army inside an ancient warship. They needed to convince the ship they weren't the enemy. "Carter, is there a command center?" She nodded. "Yes. If we can reach the core, we might be able to take control." Reed pointed down the corridor. "Then we run." The chase through the Titan. The team sprinted through the corridors, dodging energy fire as the droids pursued them relentlessly. Doors slammed shut, forcing them down unfamiliar paths. Hallways shifted, as if the ship itself was deciding their fate. They were being funneled somewhere. And then, the doors ahead of them opened, leading to a massive, circular chamber. The throne of the Titans. They had reached the command center. A vast holographic interface hovered in the middle of the room, displaying the ship's status, weapons, and systems. But what drew their attention was the chair. A massive ornate command throne, once occupied by the Titans, sat in the center of the room, pulsing with power. Dr. Carter realized it instantly. That's it. The ship is waiting for someone to sit there. It needs a captain. The sound of metal footsteps echoed behind them. The droids were closing in. Reed didn't hesitate. He rushed forward and threw himself into the seat. The moment he did, the entire ship reacted. A deep vibration shook the structure. The walls pulsed with golden energy. The security droids froze in place, then collapsed to the ground, deactivated. A final message appeared on the screen before them. Command seat occupied. New authority recognized. Humanity has taken the throne. Reed exhaled heavily. They had done it. They were in control. But outside, the galaxy had already noticed, and the real battle was about to begin. The awakening of a war machine. The galaxy responds. Captain Reed sat in the massive command throne, feeling the ship's power hum beneath him. The ancient warship had accepted him. The Titan-class dreadnought, a planet-sized fortress built for war, was now under human control. The security droids lay motionless. The red warning lights dimmed, replaced by a soft golden glow pulsing across the walls. The ship recognized its new masters. Dr. Carter stood beside him, staring at the glowing displays. Captain, this ship is fully operational. It's not a ruin. It's a weapon. Reed tightened his grip on the throne's armrests. Then we need to know exactly what we're sitting on. As if responding to his words, a holographic display appeared before them, and what it showed sent chills through the entire crew. The power of a Titan-class dreadnought. The ship's specifications scrolled across the display. Armament: supernova cannons, graviton lances, planet breaker missiles. Defenses: molecular shielding, self-regenerating hull, quantum armor. Energy source: unknown, self-sustaining. Capacity: 500,000 troops, 1,000 warships docking bay. Lieutenant Hayes whistled. This thing could wipe out entire fleets. No wonder the Titans lost. Whatever they were fighting had to be worse than this. But before anyone could process the information, a new alert flashed across the screen. Incoming TRNSMISSIONs, multiple factions, DETCTED. Carter's eyes widened. The galaxy knows we're here. The galaxy reacts. Across the stars, major factions had picked up the energy signature of the awakening warship. The Titan dreadnought had remained hidden for millions of years, but now it was fully powered, and everyone was scrambling to respond. The Xorveth Empire, one of the most feared warlords in the galaxy. Humans, by claiming the Titan ship, you defy the balance of power. Surrender it immediately or face destruction. The Galactic Council, the so-called keepers of peace. Humanity, you do not understand what you have awoken. This ship is a relic of a forgotten war. It must be contained. The Varkari Dominion, a faction that once served the Titans in ancient times. We thought the Titans were gone forever. If the ship has chosen you, then perhaps humanity is their successor. And then, the final transmission. A deep, eerie voice echoed through the room. It was not from any known faction. The slumbering beast has awakened. The enemy of the Titans still remains. And now, we come for you. The crew froze. Carter's voice was barely above a whisper. That's them, isn't it? The ones who destroyed the Titans. Hayes clenched his fists. And they're coming back. A line in the sand. Reed stood from the command throne, his decision made. This ship didn't survive all these years just to be surrendered. If the Titans built it to fight, then we'll finish what they started. He turned to Carter. Status of the weapons. She checked the console. All functional. Shields at full capacity. Energy levels are stable. Good, Reed said. Then let's send a message to the galaxy. He reached for the command interface, activated the ship's external comms, and spoke. To all who listen, this ship now belongs to humanity. We do not seek war, but we will not be hunted. This vessel was built to stand against the darkness, and if that darkness returns, we will be ready. The crew stood in silence, waiting for the galaxy's response. And then, the first hostile fleet dropped out of hyperspace. The battle for the Titan dreadnought had begun. Humanity's rise as the new Titans, the battle for the future. The Titan-class dreadnought rumbled as the first hostile fleet arrived in system. On the bridge, Captain Reed stood firm, his gaze locked onto the massive alien warships appearing on the holographic display. The Xorveth Empire had sent their dreadnoughts, cruisers, and fighter swarms, forming an armada powerful enough to reduce planets to dust. But this time, they weren't facing a planet. They were facing a Titan. The first shots fired. "Human ship, surrender immediately." The Xorvath commander's voice boomed through the comms. "That warship is too dangerous in your hands." Reed smirked. "Then you shouldn't have let us find it." With a single command, the Titan dreadnought's primary weapons activated. The ship roared to life, its ancient cannons glowing with energy that had not been used for millions of years. The supernova cannons charged, their power bending space-time around them. Reed gave the order. "Fire." A golden beam of pure destruction erupted from the dreadnought, crossing the void in an instant. The Xorvath flagship had no time to react. The moment the beam struck, the massive warship disintegrated in a fiery explosion, leaving behind only debris. The Xorvath fleet froze in terror. The battle for the Titan. The enemy fleet opened fire, launching hundreds of plasma torpedoes at the Titan ship. But the ancient war machine had defenses beyond their understanding. The molecular shields flared to life, absorbing the energy blasts as if they were nothing. Dr. Carter scanned the readings. Shields holding at 98%. "These ships aren't even scratching us." Hayes grinned. "Their weapons are useless against us." Reed turned to Patel. "Target their fleet. Disable them. Let's show them why this ship was feared." The Titan dreadnought responded like a living war god. Graviton lances fired, crushing enemy warships like paper. Electromagnetic pulses disabled their shields. Planet breaker missiles tore apart their formations. Within minutes, the entire Xorveth fleet was in full retreat. "We surrender. Cease fire. We yield." But before the Titan ship could respond, a new alarm blared. "The true enemy arrives." Dr. Carter gasped. "Something's coming through hyperspace, and it's not Xorveth." The crew watched as a new fleet emerged from the darkness. They were not like the Xorveth. Their ships were black as void, shifting like living shadows. Their weapons pulsed with unnatural energy. Hayes clenched his jaw. "It's them, isn't it? The ones who destroyed the Titans." A deep, inhuman voice echoed across the comms. "We return for what was left unfinished." A wave of biomechanical warships surged forward, their weapons unlike anything seen before. Blades of pure darkness. Weapons that warped reality. Creatures that defied logic. The ship's AI, ECKO, displayed an alert. "War in Ing. Designation. TITANSLAYERSDKCTED. Threat LEVL. EXTI. Chivian." Reed took a deep breath. This was it. The battle the Titans failed to win. But this time, humanity would finish it. He sat back in the command throne and spoke 2 words. "All weapons, fire." The war for the galaxy begins. The Titan dreadnought roared into battle, facing down the enemy that once ended an empire. This time, the Titans would not fall. This time, humanity would rise. And the galaxy would never be the same.